This week, the HPT crowns a champion as we celebrate our 200th episode. We're at Route 66 Casino Hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The HPT's first stop to the land of enchantment proved to be an instant classic. Past champions, local grinders, and players from all over the country descended on one of America's greatest and historic highways to test their skills and hope to become the newest HPT champion. One man sat down at our televised final table with the spotlight shining on him and a bullseye on his back. The 2004 WSOP main event champion Greg Raymer. The Fossil Man started as the chip leader and proceeded to dominate the action. As players went down, Greg's hopes went up of taking down his biggest win since conquering the poker world almost a decade ago. But there's still one man to beat. Robert Crawford started as the short stack, but has played an amazing game and now sits right on the heels of the champ. Can Raymer hold on to become the HPT's newest champion, or will the budding young pro continue to play the game of his life and hopefully take down one of the planet's best players? This is the HPT.
They come from all walks of life, each with a story to tell. All they need is a chip and a chair. It's an open casting call for those who love the game. This ain't your weekend home game. This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello and welcome to the HPT, where tonight it's a special event on the HPT. It is our 200th episode, and we're proud to bring it to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico at Route 66 Casino. I'm Chris Hansen, and the man to my left doesn't look over 150 episodes at all. He is Fred Bevel.
What a classic we have at tonight's final table. No question that the final table tonight will be remembered long after we crown a new champion. The real question is, what will it be remembered for? Will it be remembered as Greg Raymer's biggest win since taking down the WSOP main event in 2004? Or will it be remembered as the final table where the Fossil Man came close? His opponent, Robert Crawford, hopes it's the latter. Robert started this final table as the short stack, but with good instincts, crafty play, and a little luck, he's now right up on Greg's bumper and is one swing pot away from taking over the chip lead.
It has been an action-packed final table so far. The first to leave us was Steve Carruthers. He put his tournament life on the line with ace-5, but unfortunately ran into Rob's ace-10. Steve couldn't find the 3 outs he needed and was sent to the rail in 6th place with over $14,000 in cash. Then it was Alan Hedin, who started the hand with the best hand of ace-queen against Rob's ace-3. The flop had disaster written all over it as it came 4-3 ace. Rob shipped it in and Alan made what he thought was a good call, but in the end the professional gambler went home in 5th place with over 16 grand.
Then it was the cattle roping farmer Benji Benavidez. Benji was the unenviable short stack and got it in with my favorite hand, King Queen, and was called by Scott Doherty's ace-8. 6 outs weren't enough for Benji as the local favorite left us in 4th place with almost $22,000 and a lifetime of memories. Then soon after, it was Scott's ace-9 that ran into Greg Raymer's ace-queen. Scott couldn't find the 3 outs he needed for the suck out and left us in 3rd place with almost $27,000.
Well, Fred, the question is tonight, is it going to be Raymer or Crawford? The Fossil Man or the Unknown Man? Only one way to find out. Let's meet both of the players and then get right to the final table action.
I'm Greg Raymer, also known as Fossil Man. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I'm a professional poker player. Oh, I absolutely see this as an accomplishment. I mean, every final table is important, and this one's even better because now it's on TV. It'll be streaming live. My wife, and daughter, they're back home in Raleigh, because my wife's got to take care of our little girl, but now they can watch it online as it happens. And I'm excited to be playing it. I'm just hoping for no bad luck today, that's it.
My name's Robert Crawford. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I'm a professional poker player. HPT's been a lot of fun. Got in for a $180 satellite, so pretty much on a free roll.
Fred, if you ask me, the story really is Rob starting this final table with $371,000 in chips, and here he is, heads up for a whole lot of cash.
Just under $72,000, and look at Rob's stack now from $350,000 to over $1.4 million. It is anybody's game yet. You can see Greg Raymer with 62% of the chips in play, and Rob with 38% of the chips in play. One double up, and it's a whole new match.
Antes start tonight at $15,000 and $30,000 with a 5K ante, and Fossil Man Greg Raymer will start this heads-up match.
Ace 10 suited, a monster in heads-up play. Greg is just going to min-raise. And Robert is going to make the call with connecting cards.
Robert is 36 years old from El Paso, Texas.
Let's go ahead and see the flop, please.
And here's the flop. It's 4-5 ace with a couple of hearts.
Well, Rob has flopped a gut shot straight draw. Greg has hit top pair. Robert's going to check over to Greg, and Greg is going to bet $60,000. A quick fold from Rob.
So the first heads-up hand here goes to the Fossil Man.
Greg Raymer, of course, poised to take down his biggest victory since the 2004 World Series main event. He's got to hold off a very talented and skilled player in Rob, though. Primarily a cash game player. Doesn't play a lot of tournaments, but you'd never know by how he's playing today.
Well, both players playing these two premium hands here heads up. Very cautiously, Rob limping in with ace-jack. Greg checking his option with queen-jack. And here comes the flop. It's ace-9-8, a couple of diamonds on board, and Fossil Man's first to act.
Well, Fossil Man now has the gut shot draw, and Rob has flopped top pair.
And they both check, so we'll see the turn. It's another 8.
Well, now Greg is going to fire out the minimum $30,000. And those don't look like calling chips coming from Rob. Looks like he's going to raise it up. And he does. He makes it $90,000, $60,000 more for Greg to call.
To $90,000 total.
Greg just throwing out a feeler bet here on the turn to see where he's at. Now he gets raised. He's got to figure that gut shot's probably not going to go very far for him.
Chips, not very easy to get out of Greg Raymer. He accumulates them and will sit on them. He's going to play very tight, but when he gets a premium hand, he's going to let you know.
This time it's King 9 for Rob. And again, we see him just limp in.
We've got an option now for Mr. Raymer.
Ace-6 for Greg, and he will check his option. Hard to believe that it has been almost a decade since Greg Fossil Man Raymer became a household name. And the flop is deuce-8 deuce.
No help for either player on this flop. Right now, Greg's ace high is the best. Greg's checking over to Rob.
$35,000 is the bet from Rob. Greg, feeling confident with his ace high, makes the call. Or maybe just confident that he can outplay Rob on the turn. And it's a queen of diamonds.
Again, a swing and a miss for these players on the turn. Right now, Greg's ace high is the best.
Go ahead and see the river.
And both players check, so here comes the river. It's a 4 of hearts. Greg checks over to Rob.
Check. King high.
And we were absolutely right. Greg was confident that his ace high was the winner, and in the end, it absolutely was.
And Rob knows it's hard to outplay Greg Raymer. He kept it low, didn't try to get fancy there on the turn or the river.
Greg looks down at queen 4.
You know, you mentioned a moment ago, Chris, it's almost been a decade since Greg has won the World Series main event, but has been a relevant player throughout that whole time, probably one of the best ambassadors the game has seen in the modern era of poker.
And Rob makes the call.
All right, Veronica, let's go ahead and see the flop.
So let's take a look at the flop. It is king, queen 4.
Queen 4, the action starts.
Well, Greg has hit a monster for heads up. He's got 2 pair. Rob, unfortunately for Greg, only has 8 high. Probably not going to get a lot of value out of this hand.
60,000 is the bet from Greg, and Rob will fold. You know, I noticed both players this final table are wearing sunglasses. Now, don't get me wrong. I like a nice pair of Ray-Bans as much as the next guy. But when you talk about sunglasses in poker, it's all about the Fossil Man sunglasses.
His are unique, and look at this. Aces for Greg Raymer now. He's going to min-raise to 60,000. Rob is going to oblige with suited cards.
Can't help himself, I guess, with 10-7 of spades. And here comes the flop. It's deuce, 8-6, rainbow.
Rob flops a gut shot straight draw. He'll need a 9 to fill that in. Greg's ace is way ahead, and he is going to bet.
$60,000 bet.
And Rob with the loose call.
And a call has been made.
Hopefully for his sake, not trying to set up a move on the turn.
Call has been made. Let's go ahead and see the turn card. King of
And
clubs.
the turn is a king.
Robert checks.
Rob checks.
Now over to Greg.
$250,000 in the pot. Let's see what number Greg comes up with. About half the pot, 120,000.
120,000 is the bet by Mr. Raymer. 120.
Robert just with a gut shot straight draw. Nothing else really out there for him. And he is going to lay it down. Greg Raymer takes down yet another pot.
More heads up poker from New Mexico when we come back.
Greg's he's a nice guy, but he plays real aggressive. When the blinds got bigger, he's playing real aggressive, playing almost every pot, like making little min raises almost every hand.
Playing with him has been just wonderful. He's an incredibly nice guy to play with.
I'd like to knock Greg Raymer out. That'd be my goal, to knock him out, and even if I win it or not.
He's sitting just to the left of me. I had the pleasure of playing right beside him in the same spot for about 3-4 hours. So I got to know him really quite well, and got a lot of stuff to say that I soaked it all in. It's going to be a great ride.
I am super excited to have Greg Raymer at this final table. Not only is he a very good, excellent poker player, he's a tremendous ambassador for our sport and a fine gentleman.
Well, Fred, I can tell you it's a lot of fun to play against Greg Raymer, but when you were playing for this kind of money and Greg smells blood in the water, you better watch out, Rob. You've got a long night ahead of you.
Well, Rob is bleeding right now. He's down 205,000 since we last checked in. Right now, the momentum is all Greg Raymer's. Let's see if he can keep it up and take down his first big title since the 2004 World Series main event.
All right, we get back to heads up poker with Rob having ace-4.
You know, Greg has played a lot of events on the HPT. I can't think... I played with him once in a charity bounty event we did together at one of our events. Never played a cash game with him.
70.
That's why I still have some money in my pocket.
And Greg will call with ace-4 to the small raise from Rob.
Please.
Another heads-up flop, and this one is 6-8 queen.
Action starts with Greg Raymer. He's
Both these players missed the flop. Both these players with the same holding. Let's see who's going to bet first. Both players are going to check to the turn.
It's a 3. Greg Raymer, first act.
Guts and heart are going to be the winner of this hand. Greg is going to check. And it looks like Rob is going to go ahead and fire a little tiny tickler bet. 80,000.
By Robert. 80,000. Over to Greg Raymer now.
And again, when he puts those sunglasses on, I'm always wondering, what is he really looking at?
And Greg is going to lay it down. Rob's going to be the victor with his ace-4. Notice when Greg is out of position, he keeps the pot small. He doesn't try to get cute. When he's in position, that's when he's going to go get you.
Hide the women and children in that scenario, and that's where he is now with ace-queen of hearts. Makes it 60,000. Both these players seem fairly comfortable making these small min raises pre-flop.
And a
3 deuce suited is good enough for Rob to see a flop.
Call has been made by Robert. Let's go ahead and see the flop, please.
Well, Rob is out-flopped Greg. He's hit the deuce. And he is first to act here.
80,000 is
He's going to bet that pair of ducks. 80,000 is the bet.
Over to Greg Raymer now.
And Greg with a flush redraw and ace high. Let's see if he wants to see a turn. He wants to see a turn, but he's going to put the screws to Rob first. Raises it up to 200,000, making it 120,000 for Rob to call.
We go back now to Robert.
Sitting on bottom pair.
Uh-oh, it looks like Rob is ready to re-raise the world champion. Or maybe not.
Oh.
He faked me out.
Those are nice glasses.
And you know what's sad? He probably never got a cut of any of those glasses either. I would have went and bought every single pair I could ever find and sold them on eBay. Well, Rob's got a tough decision here. He's got the best hand, but when you got a pair of deuces, it doesn't matter what's on the board, much less playing against Greg Raymer. You can't make the call.
Robert folds, Mr. Raymer.
I think Greg knew that. He figured he's got to have something for putting money in the pot. Let's find out how good your hand really is.
He's the one who deserves the applause.
All right, Rob's first act in this hand as we play for just under $72,000 in cash tonight on the HPT.
That would lead to some
Route 66 Casino, our first trip into New Mexico.
And it's yet another thing to brag about. We have the largest prize pool in tournament history for the state of New Mexico.
Rob limps in with ace-9. Greg will check with queen-jack. On go the glasses. And here comes another flop. The flop is 10 deuce jack.
Greg hits top pair here. Rob is just sitting on ace high. Both players are going to check to the turn.
All right, here comes the turn. It's a 6 of diamonds.
6 of diamonds.
Another miss for Rob. Hopefully Greg can get some value out of this hand. He's going to try it with 30,000.
And a quick call from Rob.
Rob has a bachelor's degree from UTEP in computer information systems. He's one of those smart guys.
And here comes the river. It's a 5 of diamonds. Greg checks top pair.
Robert checks as well.
That means I win.
And Greg will assume that his jack is going to be enough to take this pot down, and it will. More heads-up poker as the Fossil Man continues to move towards his first HPT championship. More poker from Route 66 when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT at Route 66 Casino in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm telling you, you make it to Route 66, you got to go in to Thunder Road Cantina and Steakhouse and get the tableside guacamole.
It is fantastic.
Oh, I want some broadcast desk side guacamole. If we could have some right now, that'd be great.
We need to hire a kid for that. Greg Raymer, 71% of the chips in play, 93 big blinds in his stack, and as you can see, he's still moving in the right direction. Robert down 135,000 in chips since we last checked.
And Fossil Man looks down at suited connectors, and he will once again min raise up to 60,000 with 3-4 of spades.
60? Greg raises to 60,000.
At one point in this tournament, Rob was all in with deuce 6 offsuit. Got called by 2 people, both with wired pairs. Flop came 7-3-4. Turn gave him a 5 for the straight, knocked out 2 players, and that's what launched him into day 2. Came to this final table as the short stack, and here he is heads up with a champ.
Well, Rob re-raises the world champ there and takes that pot down with ace high. Moving on, jack deuce for Rob this time.
He had like 20,000 chips, and he bet 15 instead of 3.
Oops.
Sadly for him, I had flopped top full, so he was kind of screwed.
Start the action with
Rob limps with jack deuce over to Greg. Ace 8 offsuit.
is checked by Greg.
He will check. Now, I know that Greg Raymer famously during his run of the World Series of Poker had a little book with him that he'd write down things that he would remember about players. Fred, he is a guy that can come up with any hand, it seems like, that he's ever played in any tournament. Greg Raymer's a lot of fun to have a conversation with. The flop is King 5-9.
Greg's ace high still the best right now.
They both check to the turn. It's an 8 of spades.
Well, Greg pairs his 8. He was ahead before, but now he's got a pair, killing Rob's deuce.
60,000.
Look at this, Rob going into Greg. 60,000 is the bet.
And Greg makes the call.
Greg doesn't want to scare Robert away.
Let's go ahead and see the river card.
And here comes the river. It's a 4, so Greg has the best hand.
You don't see Greg lay down the best hand very often. Let's see if Robert tries to push him on the river here.
Okay, vocalize it this time. 230.
The bet is 200.
Over bets the pot. There was 190 in the pot before he acted. He bets 230,000. And now we have a 420,000 chip pot. Let's see if the champ can sniff this out.
Fossil Man putting the story together, and in the end, he is going to fold. And Rob is going to take this pot down. Fred, I had thought anything pot size or smaller, Greg was probably going to be calling. Once Rob went over the size of the pot, I think Greg said, you know what, there's too much out there that beats me. Obviously, a flush could have came on the river. The king had him beat as well.
Well, Robert now has a story to tell. He got the 2004 main event champ to lay down the best hand on the river.
Greg raises with King 4. Rob calls with 8-6. Once again, the min raise in effect. And the flop, 6-3 queen.
Min raising the new hula hoop of poker.
Robert checks over to Greg.
Rob has flopped the best of this. He's got a pair of 6s. Greg with king high is going to bet. Makes it 60,000 to go.
We haven't seen a lot of monster pots between these two. What we've seen is a lot of smaller pots, and unfortunately for Rob, he just can't win.
120.
He keeps losing these small pots.
120.
Well, it looks like Rob is shifting gears right now. We saw him with the big bet on the river a hand ago, and now he is doing the raising on the flop here.
Raise him up. Total.
And Greg will fold. A lot of money on the line here tonight, and we wondered, what are you going to do with it?
If I win it, I guess probably just blow it on something. Blow it in Vegas or something.
Whatever I win today, I would probably invest it, buy more cattle. That's about it. Just keep on going.
So with my cut, we'll add to the bankroll and pay a few debts and just enjoy it and buy a few gifts for my family and friends and make sure to tip the dealers and the people at the casino that have been so helpful.
More final table action from Route 66 Casino Hotel when we come back. Welcome back to the HPT with Fred Bevel. I'm Chris Hansen. It's time for our Pro Tip of the Week. And what better pro to learn from than 12-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner, Phil Hellmuth.
How do you exploit your opponent? The kids say it all the time. Exploit, exploit, exploit. I can exploit you. Whatever, bring it on. It's not as easy as it looks like. Exploiting someone simply means, let's take an example, I guess. It's basically taking advantage of their tendencies. Okay, so let's just say that a guy's doing a lot of raising, super aggressive guy. How do you exploit it? You start re-raising that person. Or just calling. If I know that some kid is raising every pot and he's going to bet every flop also, I might just call him with aces, kings, or queens and exploit his continuation bet, his bet on the flop. Okay? I might re-raise him with ace-4 offsuit because I don't want to take a flop with that hand. And so I'm kind of exploiting what he's doing. I'm exploiting his aggression. The same thing if you notice that a guy never bets when he's strong. He's always checking. Then I'm going to check a lot behind with strong hands, unless I have a sense that I have him beat. So I think exploiting your opponent is taking advantage of their tendencies. When you can do that, you've come a long ways on the poker curve.
Thank you very much, Phil, from a man who's got 12 World Series of Poker bracelets and also is a main event champion, to another main event champion, Greg Raymer, taking a bit of a dip, Fred.
Rob has gotten a little bit of those chips back, 255,000 to be exact, and he's grown to 35% of the chips in play. Still anybody's game here. Heads up for just under 72 grand.
As we keep playing for smaller and smaller pots, I'm sorry, but I give Greg Raymer the advantage there. The more hands you see against a guy like Greg Raymer, he's going to be able to outplay you. For Rob, I think the way that he's going to be able to take this tournament down, get a little bigger. Let's get some more chips in the middle. If you're confident, go with it. Because if you play 10 hands with Greg Raymer, he's probably going to beat you at least 7 or 8 of those 10 hands.
Well said, my friend. This time Greg wakes up with ace-9 suited. Well, Greg is going to be the one raising this hand. He's going to make it 90,000 to go. And Rob is going to go ahead and call.
And Robert makes the call.
And here comes the flop. It is 5-3-8.
Both players miss this flop. Greg, the pre-flop raiser, is going to fire a continuation bet, makes it 90,000 again.
90.
And Rob with a very loose call here.
That's what I'm saying, Rob. The more hands you get involved with Greg Raymer, you're asking for trouble. And the turn is a 6.
Well, that 6 gives both of these players a gut shot straight draw. And Greg is not wanting to see a river. He is going to fire 180,000 now with just ace high. Do you think Greg knows he's bluffing with the best hand right now? Because I never know if I'm bluffing with the best. I'm just throwing chips out there.
You're just bluffing because you're bluffing.
Exactly.
I don't know if I might have the best hand, but I know I'm bluffing. And Robert is going to fold, and Greg Raymer wins another pot. Not much resistance coming from Rob on any of these hands.
And Rob is going to raise it up to 70,000.
Robert raises 70,000 over to Greg now.
Greg with Queen 8.
He will see a flop with Queen 8. Makes the call for 40,000.
See the flop.
Ace 7-6 with a couple of clubs is the flop. Action's on Greg.
Checks over to Robert.
Both players have absolutely nothing right now. Rob is going to continuation bet with King high.
But what Rob does have is 100,000 in chips and a will to win, so let's go ahead and get him in the middle.
And he does get Greg to lay down the hand.
The button is on Greg. And
Yet another ace in the hole for Greg here, heads up. He's been getting a lot of premium hands for heads up play.
Greg Raymer with about $7 million in lifetime tournament winnings.
That's a lot of money.
over to Robert now.
For people like you, for me and Greg, it's not that much.
That's why you borrowed $20 from me yesterday, right?
Well, somebody had to tip the valet. Rob calls with 9-10 offsuit. So here we go. The flop is 6-8-5.
Well, both players flop a gut shot straight draw. Both are looking for the 7. Unfortunately for Greg Raymer, if he hits the straight, he's a loser.
Bet
60,000 is the bet by Greg. Over to Rob.
And Rob is not calling. He is raising it to 120,000.
And Greg is going to fold. More poker from New Mexico when we come back on the HPT. Once again, Fred, a huge honor for the HPT to set another record. We're just crossing off states like they're going out of style. The biggest tournament in New Mexico poker history right here on the HPT.
And Greg Raymer is in solid control of this final table right now. If you notice, when he's out of position, he keeps the pot small. When he's in position, he puts the gas down and really cranks up the aggression. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Greg Raymer with 2.6 million chips and Rob with 1.3 million. That's right about where he started this final table. And for now, Rob has been able to not let too many chips get away from him. As soon as Greg starts tipping your card over, there's not much you're going to be able to do to stop.
If you're rooting for Rob, you're rooting for one big swing hand to change everything. And that can happen at any moment. Rob is going to raise it up to 70,000 with 10 jack, and it's yet another ace in the hole for Greg Raymer.
It's almost unfair how many aces Greg has had here in this heads-up match. You might be thinking, well, an ace is no big deal. Well, when you're heads up and you've got the amount of skill that Greg Raymer has, it's almost like having pocket aces every time. And he had those, too, also in this heads-up match.
You know, one myth about Greg I'd like to bust right now. A lot of people think that Greg was an amateur in 2004 when he won the World Series because that's how ESPN portrayed him. In fact, Greg was a semi-pro back in 2004 when he won his main event championship. Had played a handful of World Series events before that. Already a good-sized cash game player. Ton of experience under his belt when he took down that win.
Greg re-raised with ace-9 this time to $180,000, and Rob called, and so we'll see the flop as this pot is one of the bigger ones we've seen going to the flop. It's 4-3-8 with a couple of spades. Greg is first.
And Greg is never one to disappoint. He does continuation bet, this time for $180,000.
Over to Robert.
Rob wondering what to do. He probably expected Greg to bet the flop like he did. And this time he chooses correctly. He's just going to go ahead and lay it down.
Greg working on the second stack up there on top of the big main stack.
That's fun when you're playing poker. Rebuild an addition to the house.
I love the upper floors.
Another ace for Greg here, heads up. This time it's ace-6.
If he was wearing longer sleeves, I would ask to check them. Makes it $60,000, and Rob calls with queen-8.
Robert makes the call. Gary, let's go ahead and see the flop.
Greg once again implementing that min-raise strategy against Rob. Here's the flop. It's ace-king-8.
Well, both players catch a piece of this. Rob hits the 8. Greg hits top pair with the ace. And Greg is going to bet. And this time, I don't see Rob going anywhere. This could get dangerous.
Well, if there was a time when Rob should be going somewhere, it would be right now with the ace and the king of clubs already on the board. And here's the turn. It's a 4 of clubs.
We'll see if that third club slows Greg Raymer down. Rob is going to check.
Over to Fossil Man. It does slow him down, so let's see the river.
Let's go ahead and see the river card, please.
And the river is a 7, so Greg's still with the best hand with a pair of aces.
And here comes Rob selling the story. I have the flush. Puts a big bet out on the river after checking the turn.
Bet by Robert.
Go.
Greg's not buying it, though. He makes the call.
Card's over.
I think you're good.
He's good. Ace.
And Rob tried to sell the story. A lot of players would have laid it down. I think it was a good play by Rob. Unfortunately for Rob, Greg Raymer is not like a lot of other players.
Yeah, that's the bad thing. You are playing against a guy who teaches other players how to be profitable. You got to watch out for teachers, Fred. I've always said that. Ever since I had Mr. Wilson in geography back in the day, you always got to watch out for teachers. I'm just saying.
Well, this time Rob is on the button and first to bet pre-flop. He's just going to limp in with 7-4.
And if you are Rob, I hate to put this thought into his head, but at what point do you say, this is getting away from me, I need to do something right quick?
He's going to have to try to right this ship and get the momentum back.
And the flop is 5, ace, 3.
It's another gut shot draw for Rob. This time he's hoping for a 6. Greg has the best of it right now with queen high, also with a gut shot draw. He's hoping to find a 4.
30,000 is the bet from Rob. Greg will call.
Let's go ahead and see the turn card, please.
And the turn is another 5.
Once again, we start with Greg. Greg checks.
Greg is going to check over to Rob this time.
Bet by Robert.
80,000 bet from Robert. It was good enough to get Greg to lay down queen high.
Blinds continuing at 15,000, 30,000 with a 5,000 chip ante.
And we are playing for just under $72,000 in cash, the largest tournament in New Mexico poker history. Another notch in the HPT bedpost for a record like that.
Raymer is going to min raise it to 60,000 with 5 deuce, or more importantly, with the button. And it looks like Rob is going to re-raise it He's stacking the chips. He does, makes it 170,000.
The re-raise.
And Greg is going to fold. Maybe Rob has found the gear he needs to find.
170 and fold.
More poker during our 200th episode of the HPT when we come back. The first to leave us was Steve Carruthers. He put his tournament life on the line with ace-5, but unfortunately ran into Rob's ace-10. Steve couldn't find the 3 outs he needed and was sent to the rail in 6th place with over $14,000 in cash. Then it was Alan Hedin who started the hand with the best hand of ace-queen against Rob's ace-3. The flop had disaster written all over it as it came 4-3 ace. Rob shipped it in and Alan made what he thought was a good call, but in the end the professional gambler went home in 5th place with over 16 grand.
Then it was the cattle roping farmer Benji Benavidez. Benji was the unenviable short stack and got it in with my favorite hand, King Queen, and was called by Scott Doherty's ace-8. 6 outs weren't enough for Benji as the local favorite left us in 4th place with almost $22,000 and a lifetime of memories. Then soon after, it was Scott's ace-9 that ran into Greg Raymer's ace-queen. Scott couldn't find the 3 outs he needed for the suck out and left us in 3rd place with almost $27,000.
Greg Raymer with just under $3 million in chips, and Rob, for the first time in this heads-up battle, is just under $1 million chips.
24% of the chips in play for Rob. Now is the time, buddy. You got to make a move.
Robert's got a button. He'll be first.
Blinds continuing at 15 and 30,000 with a 5,000 chip ante. It's 10 jack suited for Rob on the button.
Sometimes the problem, as many poker players will tell you when you start trying too hard, is when you get in the most trouble. It's one of those games you got to sometimes just sit back and wait for it to come to you, but when you're watching all of your chips move towards the way of the world champion, that's going to make you a little nervous.
It'll make you a little impatient, too. Greg is going to make the call with gap connectors.
Gary.
And the flop, 8 deuce queen.
Well, Greg fills in the gap, but no help for Greg on this flop. Rob has a gut shot straight draw, and jack high is the best hand. And Rob is going to fire 100,000 and
100K bet by Robert.
Greg doesn't need to tank too long. He's going to go ahead and fold.
All right, there you go, Rob. Don't give up. Keep the head above water. Keep swimming.
Cold deck pot here.
Rob, the father of 2, is 36 years old. He's from El Paso, Texas. Invested into this event for $180.
That's awesome.
It's a raise by Greg.
Could go home with just under 72,000.
Raymer makes it 60,000 with Queen Jack offsuit. The min-raising ship at this final table continues to float.
Well, I think Rob's about to fire a torpedo in that ship. He's not calling. He is re-raising. He's going to make it 160,000. 100 more for Greg to call.
I will hand it to Rob. When he's been making raises, that is when he has been taking pots down. The problem is they're small pots.
Yeah, he's going to need to get all this re-raisy craziness going post-flop to really scoop a good one.
Greg does call. So this pot getting up to 330,000 chips pre-flop.
Let's go ahead and see the flop, please.
And the flop is 5, 10, 6.
All in.
And Rob is going to ship it all in the middle with his pair of sixes. Greg with just 2 overcards. I don't see him making this call, but hey, what do I know?
Greg, blink if you're going to make the call. Okay, blink twice if you're going to make the call. Greg, move if you're going to make the call.
He is not. And Rob is getting exactly what he needs, a good-sized pot going into his stack. A few more of those, and the tides will turn yet again.
Casino Hotel button has moved over to Robert. He's in the small, and he will be first stack.
A suited King 7 is good enough for a raise to 100,000 from Rob.
100K.
And it's another ace in the hole for Greg here, heads up. It's ace-10 offsuit. Rob getting a little more aggressive with his newfound chips. And Greg is going to re-raise it, makes it $250,000. Another $150,000 for Rob to call.
All these aces in the hole are getting to be like a broken record for Greg Raymer.
Re-raises to $250,000.
A broken record that's trying to cash in $72,000 in cash.
And get Greg going along with the ebb and flow of his opponent. Greg would make baby raises. Now Rob getting a little more aggressive. Greg will get a little more aggressive.
The problem for Rob is when he gets aggressive, he's a computer guy getting aggressive. When Greg does it, it's the World Series of Poker main event champion getting aggressive.
Well, Rob makes a very loose call here, in my opinion, with King 7 pre-flop.
I would concur, Dr. Bevel.
All right, let's go ahead and see the flop, please.
And the flop is 9, ace, 10 with 2 diamonds. This could be it.
Buckle up. Action all over this flop. Greg has flopped top 2 pair. Rob has got the nut flush draw.
Just sit back and let it happen, Freddie Bevel.
Greg is going to check it over to the button, and Rob is going to go all in. Insta call from Greg. And he is going to have to fade a diamond to take down his biggest win since the 2004 main event World Series. But diamond comes crisp, the tables will turn, and Rob will have a lot of momentum.
Diamond, baby.
I didn't want you to have any outs. Or just ace 9 is
Greg's in the
perfect.
lead here with his 2 pair.
Diamond,
Robert looking
not a
for
10 of diamonds.
diamond. Diamond, baby, diamond.
Just not a 10 of diamonds.
I'll take the, I'll go for the 10 of diamonds. Let's keep saying 10 of diamonds out loud.
Diamond.
Here we go. The turn is a jack of spades. And another out opens up for Rob.
Now Rob has a gut shot straight draw. He'll be looking for a queen or a diamond to take this championship away from Greg Raymer.
Let's go ahead and see the river card.
And the river is an ace, giving Greg Raymer a full boat, and that will do it. He is our newest HPT champion. Congratulations, Fossil Man. And for Rob Crawford, coming to this final table with just $371,000 in chips and making a run all the way to heads up, it's got to feel good, especially when the father of 2 has just $180 invested. He's walking away with thousands.
Feel good. 40,000. That's more than I expected. I mean, 'cause I'm pretty much on a free roll, so feels good. 40 grand's a lot of money for me. I think I played all right. I got lucky. Wish I'd have got lucky on the last hand. I could double through, and then I would have had some chips. But I was happy to get it in with the flush draw against 2 pair, because we were playing a lot of small pots. And sure, I'll play in some more events. I mean, I'll probably come to the next one here in Albuquerque. And I don't know, maybe a couple more tournaments, see how I do. I don't know if probably just got lucky. We'll see.
Well, I don't care what anyone is going to say. I consider Robert's play here tonight a success. You start out as a short stack, you get heads up with Greg Raymer and end up taking second place. There's definitely nothing to be ashamed of. And for Greg Raymer, it's nice to be back in victory lane.
How would anyone feel holding the money? It's great. You know, it's always good to win. You know, and the money is important, obviously, but winning is so much more important. I'm happy with all my decisions. There was a couple of spots heads up where I felt like my opponent was probably weak, and you know, maybe I could, you know, re-raise and get him off his hand. But it was always a spot where if it didn't work, I was probably dead or almost dead. Well, I keep planning on getting that indoor driving range and launch monitor, you know, so I can sit indoors at home and hit the golf ball into the screen and have the computer tell me how far it went and did I slice or hook or whatever. And then once I finally groove a perfect swing, I can go back out on the course and beat everyone up out there.
That's so awesome. You see the joy on Greg's face. I really think he's very proud of his accomplishment here tonight. Winning a poker tournament is great, but when you think about this is his biggest win, as in winning a poker tournament since the main event almost a decade ago, he's happy to be on top of the poker mountain for at least one night tonight. So congratulations to Greg, and congratulations to all of our crew as well for our 200th episode here on the HPT. Now, do you think you've got what it takes to come and sit at our final table and take home the big money? Well, then log on to hptpoker.com to find out about our upcoming events. For James Larson and Fred Bevel and all of our crew here on the HPT, I'm Chris Hansen, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.
Oh, I can wait you out, but I'll take you down. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gonna cry to your mama, cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.